Okay. In order to shape a prolonging and stable future, we need to be well-balanced in the present. Now, when I say well-balanced, I mean completely clear-headed up here. You see, the mind decides all and everything. As it decides all and everything, that means it's pretty vital to your future, right? The toughest battles are not fought in the field. They're fought in the mind. In fact, it's the only real fight worth even mentioning. Let me ask you all a question. Has there ever been a time in your life when it feels like the whole world is on your shoulders, the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and nothing's going your way? I don't know about you all, but I simply struggle. Those are dark days for me. Now, I'm not suggesting that this isn't something everyone has to deal with. Neither am I saying that you don't feel like you're suffering. But I believe a lot of students here would agree with me that they may feel this way at times in their lives. The point is, it's normal. Let me tell you all a story, but before I do that, I want to ask you a question. Has there ever been a time in your life where there was this person who was always active and up to work, and you look at them and you're just like, wow, I want to be like that? I'm not suggesting that you may be jealous of that person. Neither am I saying that you don't want to be like them. But we all admire a good work ethic, right? Well, personally for me, that person was myself 6 years back. You see, I was as extroverted as an extrovert could get. I took up every extracurricular activity and everything challenging that came up. If there was a spelling bee, I was up there. Sports, I used to play football. Music, guitar. Creative work, I used to write. Books, never was a fan. Hotel, Trivago. Nothing seemed like a chore to me. Everything was fun. But more important than all, I loved myself. It was all sunshine and rainbows. Now, at the time, I remember this debate came up in class where the topic of conversation was depression and suicide. I was pretty close-minded and negligent to the whole topic. But one dialogue from that day that will always stick to me for the rest of my life is when I brain-deadly asked the question, how could one ever feel depressed or suicidal? I just don't get it. Well, let me tell you, oh boy, God answered that question for me in the years to come. And I will always regret asking that question. So let me flash forward to the summer of 2017. Everything I thought about how life was going to be easy and not at all mentally tough or challenging changed that summer. I began experiencing more of those dark days. I was less motivated to get up and start my day. I told myself I'm going to try to do new things rather than actually doing them. I grew lots of bad habits that I carry even to this day. I was more than often stuck in my mind rather than doing something practical. You know those times where you're in a rather blue mood and you tell yourself, why am I doing this? I'm eventually going to die anyways. At the age of 15, that became the recurring question to me. The voice in my head started driving me crazy and making the worst of every situation I lived. My relationship with my loved ones was going down the drain. I lost interest in all the activities I was up to. I started having mental breakdowns. I started enjoying being isolated and alone and lost all my confidence in the process. I was experiencing things that were weird to me and that made me uncomfortable with myself. No sound or scent could cheer me up. The world was black and white and my mind was gray. Everything I touched turned to dust. I had lost my purpose. I didn't know what I was going to do with my future. That was the least of my worries. Because was I even going to make it to my future? I felt I didn't belong to this world. I believed the world would be a better place without me. I had struggled so much where I was now suffering. I had answered my own question. If I were to tell you all that everyone in this whole world has had one suicidal thought during their lifetime, would you believe me? I was lucky where through numbing my feelings, I found my way out. Unfortunately, a minority of people end up in the extremes of these situations, where the suffering slowly turns into very, very dark thoughts. They sadly lose these battles. 27 people will have ended their lives by the end of this speech after writing their letters goodbye. Problem with mental health is that no one can really see it. If you see someone who's really struggling mentally, you don't notice it. Whereas if you see a disabled person, you notice it and you try to show compassion and understanding. The real question is, how do we battle against these so-called demons in our mind? You know, people often think they're suffering just because they have loads of problems or they're faced with hardships. But they're only struggling or striving for the better. You see, as humans, our greatest blessing is the adaptation skill. Now, I'm not personally suggesting that there's always an easy answer to your questions. Neither am I saying that your mind can't get the best of you in tough situations. But it is very important that you stay patient during tough situations and assess it with a positive view. I talked about the voice in my head. Has it ever occurred to you that we all have this voice in our head? Well, I came across this article that linked the ego with your inner voice. The voice in your head that responds to you is called your ego. The ego is a product of emotions, thoughts, and experiences that you've collected throughout your whole life. Your ego is the thing that makes you unique and separates you from everyone else. You know, I often hear that people deem the ego to be somewhat negative, but that isn't the case at all. You know, since we're all different, we have different state of minds. That could be their state of mind. You know, the same way your mind feeds you negativity, you could operate it to feed you positivity. Wouldn't that be cool? In the famous words of Amy Marine, mental strength is just like physical strength. Going to the gym and eating healthy is just like showing gratitude and practicing giving up dislike for others. Has there ever been a time in your life where you wanted to overcome your negative thoughts and feelings by taking up new activities or doing certain actions that take your mind off your temporary feelings like sadness or anger? I don't know about you all, but I personally started going to the gym and listening to lots of different types of music when I was in the darkest period of my life. And I did that because I wanted to numb my feelings, or at least let my mind rest for a little while without having to think about anything. Well, let me tell you all that is a bunch of nonsense, okay? Numbing yourself only hurts you in the long run. Think about this. Are you going to listen to music or go to the gym every time you want to take your mind off something? No, think about this. Are you going to listen to dubstep when you're depressed? Who even listens to dubstep nowadays? Or country music, let's say. Well, work with your feelings, not against them. So next time you face them, you have confidence instead of finding a way around it. Allow me to take you all back to my story. So I found my way out that summer, stronger-minded than ever. Although I never had the work ethic I once had, I was still working hard at things I loved. For as long as I can remember, whenever anyone asked me as to what I dreamt of doing in the future, it would always be football. Not soccer, but football. I don't know, the adrenaline and rush that flows through my veins when I win or score a goal. It's truly a feeling that I can't put into words as to the joy that football brings to my life. So you know what? I told myself, nothing can stop you, Armin. Go on, become a football player for your own heart. So now, one of my favorite movies of all time is Leon the Professional. I know that was pretty random, but don't worry, it relates well to my story. At the start of the movie, Gary Oldman turns and says, before entering a shootout, I like these calm little moments before the storm. Calm before the storm. For as long as I can remember, that has been my motto in life. I don't know about you all, but whenever I'm having too much fun, I like to zone out and tell myself, this can't be true, Armin, you're having too much fun. Something bad's about to happen. I could be on top of a skyscraper, having the time of my life. Next thing you know, I'm in a ditch, trying to figure out my future problems and how I'm going to solve them. I can never truly live a moment to its fullest extent. And as I thought, the storm came to my life. You know, there's times in life where something so small makes you ungrateful about your whole life and you forget to count all your blessings. Well, personally, I don't know why I have to find out the hard way, but I can now say that I put in all my effort to count all my blessings. So let me take you back to my story. So while I was chasing my lifelong dream of becoming a football player in and out of clubs, I tore my ACL. For those of you who don't know what an ACL is, it is a major ligament in your knee that holds your upper leg to your lower leg. So when you suffer the injury and tear the ligament, whenever you walk on that knee, it gives out. It feels like there's nothing under you. 90% of athletes that suffer the injury don't make it back to sports. And the 10% that do are never the same. It's not only the physical aspect of the knee, it's also the mental, psychological effect it has on you. Derrick Rose, who's one of my favorite NBA players of all time, suffered the injury and left sports for 2 years. When he came back, he was never the same old explosive Derrick Rose. The normal recovery time for an ACL injury is 10 months. As you can imagine, I was devastated. I'm not even a professional or even an amateur at football. I was heartbroken, my only dream in life, and I had to give it up. I could tell you that the worst night of my life came the night after my surgery. I was back in my negative environment, back in isolation, so I had my dark thoughts again. My dark thoughts were, why God? Why me? Why is it that I always have to suffer and find out the hard way? Why is it that there is no easy answer to every question? And it's funny because I got my answer, but it was in blatant silence. And the more and more I started asking the questions, the more they seemed rhetorical. Because sooner or later, with time and patience, I was the only one who was going to answer those questions. If I'm being honest, learning how to walk again was one of the weirdest things I've done in my life. But even now, 7 months after my surgery, even though some days I wake up and I can't even walk properly, I'll never give up on my dream. When I wake up, my knee and my back are usually as stiff as a rock. Middle-aged people will understand this. I have a knee of a 40-year-old. And my back, well, I have scoliosis, but that's a topic of conversation for another day. I have a lot of issues, guys, I know. Well, I can't wait till I can run again, and the thrill of everything going past you quick. You know, people often say I run away from my problems, but you know what I have to say since I can't say that? I walk steadily from my problems. And that doesn't work out well, does it? I can't wait till I can run again. You know, count your blessings, because before you know it, in a snap, it could be all taken away from you. And you'd be left wondering. I talked about how I was always motivated as a child to do more and more. Well, through some research, I found Ms. Carol Dweck, who's a professor of psychology at Stanford University. Ms. Carol is best known for her work on the mindset psychological trait, fixed mindset and the growth mindset. You know how we all have that one uncle who no matter what you tell him, he's never going to change his mind. If he has his mind set on something, that's it. It's the end of the conversation. That would be the fixed mindset. But we also have that one person that we all look up to and who always looks for the best of solutions, who never gives up. That would be my dad and the growth mindset. Now guys, I'm not saying this because I want more money from my dad. Dad, come on, you got to improve my allowance money. Neither am I saying this because I want a car from my dad. Dad, come on, that Lambo ain't gonna buy itself, man, come on. But I'm saying this because I love you, Dad. You see, I noticed how I had grown into the fixed mindset rather than actually growing. Now, frankly, we all want to improve as humans and move on with our lives, right? I'm not telling you all to follow a type of mindset. Neither am I asking you to challenge yourself in order to become a better version of yourself. But it's important that you follow either of these mindsets because in my experience, following either of these takes you down a whole different road. In simple terms, mindset and mental strength has become the new key to success. We all have bad habits, right? I talked about how I grew lots of bad habits during my dark times. Well, you know those times in life where you knowingly perform a bad habit even though you know all their downsides? Well, I have acne, okay? And sleeping late is one of the major causes of acne. But I still sleep late, either because I'm watching videos late or it's become a habit of mine. This has also had an effect on my school life because there's been a massive decline in my grades due to my sleeping patterns. And as you can see, bad habits do cost you. That was a joke because I have acne and bad habits cost you. Laugh. Come on, laugh. Why are you so dead, guys? Anyways, another issue of mine that I've always had since I was a child is my hands just start sweating. And it's annoying. I don't get it. Whenever I meet someone new, let's just say I don't have the best of first impressions. And this has had a massive decline in my confidence too. If I meet a pretty girl who I want to approach, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't want to shake these sweaty hands, would she? I have sweaty hands and I'm judgmental of people with sweaty hands. Again, another joke, laugh. What's wrong with you guys? Take control of your bad habits. And one more thing I wanted to tell you. These bad habits of mine have led me to have unhealthy feelings about myself and others. I usually think about people with clear skin differently as to how life would be without acne. Now, let me tell you all something. Thinking high of others and low of yourself will make the world eat your mental strength away. The only person you should be comparing yourself with is yourself yesterday. You see, when you're depressed, you don't think negatively, you believe negatively. What I urge you all to do is to take control of your bad habits. Because sooner or later, they may become reflex actions as to every situation. Let me ask you all a question. Has there ever been a time in your life where you told yourself, I'm going to try to do new things? Well, I don't know about you all, but I more than often end up not doing it. And if you ask me, it's either better to commit to something 100% or totally put it to the side. Well, I was once told that the word try is very dangerous, and I wasn't told why. So me being the eager and curious person I am, seek to find out why. And the results were quite distinct, and I was shocked. See, the words I will try are very dangerous. Not spooky, ooh, dangerous, but misleading dangerous. You see, when people say I will try, they've already given themselves permission to fail. Successful people use the words I will do, or better yet, I must do. Now, I'm not asking you all to totally put the word in your abandoned dictionary. Neither am I telling you all that you don't do the things you set out to try, because we're all different. But what I'm telling you all to do is abandon the word, try to abandon the word. Yeah, I just did use the word. Let me rephrase that. I urge you all to totally abandon the word, and trust me, you'll see a positive impact in your life. This brings me to my last point. Everything I touch to turned to dust. I talked about how while even I was doing things I was extraordinarily good at, I came to a failure. You see, even in doing things that you're most passionate about, you can always come to a failure. But you shouldn't have a fear of failure. Failure is the best mental strategy if you choose to look at the bigger picture. Michael Jordan once said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've almost lost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I failed over and over again, and that is why I succeed. Now, I'm not asking you all to fail over and over again, because that would be stupid. Neither am I asking you all to not take lessons from your results. But what I want you all to do is to identify your strengths, use them, utilize them. But more importantly, work on your weaknesses. At the end of the day, I'm going to look back at this speech in 10 years' time with even bigger problems than an ACL injury and acne. But what's important is mental toughness and mental strength will always be there. See, it's impossible to break someone who never gives up. My father always tells me that you're your own best friend, because at the end of the day, it's only you and only you who's going to fight your battles. Love yourself. You're your own greatest obstacle. Build up mental strength, and nothing can break you down. Thank you.